House of Mouse Expo. You all look fantastic. Your costumes look great. And you're having a good day so far. Have you met some cool celebrities? Have you purchased some awesome merchandise? Most important, welcome to the VIPs. Can I get you anything? VIPs, can I get you any water? Okay, non-VIPs, the water is right back there. But I'd like to thank our sponsor, the wonderful World of Animation, for sponsoring this beautiful sign and this beautiful stage. So let's get started with our panel here today. Here at House of Mouse, we've got Disney royalty, I must say. She is amazing. We're going to learn a lot more about her very, very extenuous career with Disney and beyond. So I think you all know her. She plays Teresa Russo in The Wizards of Waverly Place. She plays Connie Torres in the Disney Channel original movies, Camp Rock and Camp Rock 2, and is the voice of Sunset Boulevardes in The Proud Family and The Proud Family Louder and Prouder. Please welcome to the stage TV and film actor and voiceover artist, Maria Canals-Barrera. Yes, indeed. Come on up, Maria.
No, I don't travel with a mic. It was handed to me outside. How are you guys? Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. This is so nice.
Maria, really and truly, we want to thank you for coming. Because, I mean, this is House of Mouse Expo. It's everything Disney under one roof. And, of course, you've got to be here. You are Disney royalty.
Well, thank you so much.
Definitely, definitely. So we are glad you are here. So welcome. So let's go ahead and start this. But first, here's what I want to do. I want you to represent, because I think it's fascinating that you are originally, we're going to go back a little bit. You're originally from Miami.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Miami? Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So water doesn't fall from my back. Okay. Yes, I was born and raised in Miami. My parents are from Cuba, and they met on the beach in Miami. And they were married there, and yeah, and I moved to LA about a little over 25 years ago, or even longer than that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's fun to be back in Florida.
Yeah. Welcome home.
Yeah, I have memories of going to Disney World.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it was so fun.
Oh, that's the next thing I wanted to ask you about. Like, you know, we're going beyond before your career at Walt Disney World at Disney, as Disney royalty. Were you a Disney child? So you say you did go to Walt Disney World.
Who wasn't,
yeah.
right? I mean, I remember. Oh gosh, did you guys see that the voice of Thumper is here? And Bambi. I mean, that is like so incredible. I mean, those movies are just magic and timeless for a reason. We all grew up with that kind of, those beautiful films. But the one that really, I mean, I was already in college. The one that really like made me like, wow, was The Little Mermaid. It was like, and then it's such a small world. Jodie Benson, who did her voice and singing, went to my church. And I was like, they're like, oh yeah, Jodie Benson goes here. I'm like, what? And she and I became friends, and she came to my daughter's 1-year birthday party, my older daughter.
Wow.
She signed the VHS. VHS,
right?
Maybe it was a DVD, I don't remember. But anyway, it's just incredible how the magic of Disney has been part of all of our lives for so long. And of course I had no idea that I would get to be a Disney mom in 2 major franchises.
Exactly.
And that people tell me things like, you were my mom and you were my childhood, and it's so touching to me. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I appreciated when I was doing Wizards and Camp Rock is how much they cared about the project. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes as an actor you do a show for a different network or streaming service, and if the pilot is not picked up to series, they just let it go and move on. And all that work and all that time and all that planning is just forgotten about. But what I realized with Disney when we did Wizards, how much they cared about the talent they found, the story they thought up, and they wanted to tweak it and work on it. It reminded me of what I'd read about the old studio system and how, you know, they would find a star or chemistry between two people, and they wouldn't give up on the project. They would retool it and make it what they wanted it to be, and that's what they did with Wizards. It was very different than what you guys saw. We had a different father. We owned a magic shop, not a sub shop. I only had 2 children. I didn't have 3. So it was just wonderful to see how much they cared and worked on it.
Wow.
And that started with the head, Gary Marsh, who's just an amazing, amazing creative person.
Wow.
So anyway, I could just go on and on, so why don't I let you talk?
Oh no, we're here to hear you, not me. Not to hear me blabber. But you know, you mentioned something very interesting, is you got to watch the process of the show and watch that people were really committed to it and build the show from what it was.
Right.
So let's talk about, right before that, how did you find out about this role and get your foot into the TV show?
Actually, I had an audition for the spin-off of Lizzie McGuire. And I got the part of the mom on that, a new show with a young Selena Gomez. And we did that pilot first as mother and daughter, and that did not get picked up. But like I was saying, they believed in her. She was a find. They were right.
Right.
And they liked our chemistry, so they brought me back for Wizards. And the rest is history. It was just wonderful. So it was an audition, you know, based on another job that I'd done, and that's how I found out about it. And I remember the audition, and I remember getting the part and feeling really great about the potential. You know,
that was there.
You can just feel when something is special.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the family itself. Now, the family that you played, the Russo family, is from a mixed background. You played Teresa Russo, which is a Latina mother of Wizards. Now, how important was it to have this representation in not just any show, but a fantasy show like this?
Yeah, well, let me tell you why I think it's great. Because it was organic and not forced. It made sense because another thing that I love about what Disney did is they've always been about getting that special talent, and they were the first, I think, of the few networks to think outside the box. So they found a talent that was special, and it was Selena, right? And I'm assuming because she is half Latin or Hispanic or whatever you want to call it, her dad is of Mexican heritage. He's an American of Mexican heritage from Texas, same area where my husband's from. So they wanted to cast a Latina mom. You know, they try to sometimes cast kind of like the actor, you know? And so I think that was one of the great reasons why I was brought in. But they also saw other women of different backgrounds, you know? So I didn't realize how special and important it would be to people that happen to be American of Latin backgrounds. What was funny is that in the very beginning, they kind of tried to say, oh, it's a multicultural family. And it didn't really last, that narrative, because we weren't a multicultural family. The culture was American, and we were both American. Our background was interesting and wonderful, and you know, that Teresa was of Mexican heritage, Jerry was of Italian heritage, but our mutual culture was American. So now if the character was from Mexico, that would make it kind of like multicultural, but it really wasn't. And that's one of the things that I appreciated, is we weren't considered foreigners, you know, we were American who happened to have a recent background from an immigrant family. And it would come up, but it wasn't like every episode was about that, you know? And that's what life really is like. You know, we don't talk about our skin tone and the variations of our skin tone, the way things started to get too much focused on that. It's important, it's part of us, but it's not our identity. Our identity is who we are in our minds and hearts and values and our personalities and our character. And it sounds obvious to us because we know each other. But for television, they kind of have been a little bit behind. They kind of didn't really get it. And then now they're really trying to make up for it, where everything's about that, you know, and it really shouldn't be. It's a wonderful part of who we are, and we all have all that diversity within us. So when people ask, you know, did you feel like you can do it because you saw somebody that looked like you out there? It's like, well, I never felt like I couldn't do anything because I didn't see somebody that looked like me. Actually, I did see a lot of people that looked like me. Maybe they weren't specifically of Cuban background. But that doesn't mean that when I did see somebody that was Latin, I didn't go, oh, that is cool. But I never felt I couldn't because this is America. And I believe in who we really are. So I think that's important to remember. But at the same time, the fact that there is representation, that people tell me like, oh, I thought it was so cool to see a mom that was Latina on TV. I'm like, yeah, you know what, that was cool. And my daughter tells me, she goes, Mom, that really did mean a lot to a lot of people, including us, that we saw, you know, a mom like our mom, that really is our mom, on TV. And I said, you know what, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I do appreciate that. And it is cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool because like sometimes you'll watch, like you said, it's not forced. You'll watch an episode and we can all relate to it. Then you might watch an episode and you might throw some Spanish words in, or something happens that's culturally what happened, and you go, oh, cool, that's cool. I kind of forgot about this, and I just learned something, and you go back into watching it. So.
Yeah, and one of the episodes that I love, which I had never seen on television, was when I'm trying to teach my American Latina daughter how to speak Spanish, because it just didn't happen organically, because we're American too. But we love our culture and we love our language, but it just didn't happen. So there's that episode where I'm trying to teach Alex how to speak Spanish. And I don't know if you guys catch it, but her Spanish teacher is Mrs. Chong. And I'm like, yes, Mrs. Chong. And that's America right there, you know? And it's so cool. It was funny and it's just organic and these things happen. And I remember having to translate for my mother as a kid because, yes, you know, they came when they were young and they met on the beach in Miami, and they couldn't return to Cuba even if they wanted to because it was no longer a free country. It was taken over by a communist dictator, so they lost their country. So they had to learn English, but they never really learned it fluently. So we were like, we were translating, and I remember having to translate banking terms as an 11-year-old, and I'm like, I don't know what this word is in Spanish. And she's like, pero niña, you were born in this country and you don't understand. Like, mad at me that I didn't know what this banking term is. I mean, it was so funny and frustrating and hilarious at the same time, and we got to do some of that on Wizards, and I'd never seen that. I'd never seen the very common phenomenon of a first-generation American having to translate for their parents who came from another country. And that happens all the time in real life, you know. So anyway, I love that Wizards just was a very special show for many reasons.
Well, many reasons, in fact, it won a lot of awards.
Yes.
An Emmy for Outstanding Children's Program, a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award, and the series finale of the show was the most watched ever on Disney Channel. So, yeah, let's give that some applause.
We actually won 3 Emmys.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. 3 Emmys for Outstanding Children's Programming, and we were on the air for 4 seasons, so that was just very, very exciting and wonderful. And I just feel like, wow, you know, being an actor is very difficult. It's a lot of up and downs, you know, it's wonderful and frustrating and exciting and terrible and glamorous and joyous and miserable and everything all together. But to be able to have been part of something, a couple of projects that have been so timeless and eternal and so loved is such a wonderful privilege for me. So I'm just so grateful that you guys even, like, you care and you ask questions and it means something to you, and I got to be part of that, and it makes me so happy. Because there are a lot of shows that don't have that impact, and not every actor gets to be a part of that. And so I'm very grateful that I got to be a part of a couple things like that, like the Justice League and Wizards and things that people just really have such affection for. And the fact that, you know, usually on those kids shows, the parents have these thankless roles, but that there's such affection for the parents is so sweet. And I just really like that.
Yeah, because a lot of shows too, and nothing against it, but sometimes you see the parents as the punchline. You know what I mean?
Yes, and we were, but it wasn't too
But it
vicious.
wasn't too much, yeah.
You still liked us rather than completely disrespected
Here they
us.
come, yeah.
You know, and that was a delicate balance there, you know. Like Teresa's kind of ridiculous because she wanted to be young and tried on Alex's clothes. But she also loved her and empowered her and encouraged her when her heart was broken. And you know that great episode where you see that Jerry gave up his powers to marry a mortal, and how much we love each other, and that's very important, because if you don't see that real love, you don't really care, and it doesn't make a difference in people's lives, because deep down inside we want it to matter, we want to care, and the writers were just wonderful in keeping that love there.
And speaking of that love, let's talk about your connection to the characters, your movie, your TV family. Was it really like a family? How, what was it like? And especially, you mentioned that you had a spin-off with Selena.
Yeah.
You tried something, they really liked your chemistry, and they kept it going. They saw something there. What was that like?
Well, it was, first of all, the kids were so talented and very prepared, and that was great. And I remember when we became a hit instantly, the producers and showrunner, they brought us into the offices and they wanted to have a little meeting with us, and they just wanted to tell us, listen, experience it, enjoy it, and because this doesn't happen all the time. So don't let it pass you. And the adults, David DeLuise and I, we were like, oh yeah, we know, we've been through this, we've been through the ups and downs, but the kids, hadn't had that many shows to know that this is really special. So take the time to really appreciate it. And I thought that was really great. It did feel like a family because we really liked each other. But at the same time, I'm not her real mother or his real mother. They had wonderful parents. So I would wait for them to ask me my advice on things, which is hard for me. It's so hard for me. I want to help them avoid pain,
Yeah.
And that was a great honor when Selena asked me about relationships, because she saw my husband and I and our little girls.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you make that work? Or when, David Henry would ask me things about, his faith and the business, it was just a tremendous honor, because these are young professionals, but at the same time, when you're an adult, you know that they're still growing up. So you have this love for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake was such a sweet young man. So yes, we really did feel like a family, and we haven't gotten together as much as we were together. But I don't know if you guys saw, for David Henry's wedding, that was really nice. We were all there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he has 3 kids now. And he's a director and a writer. And of course, Selena, how much she's gone through and what a survivor she is, and her success. And Jennifer is a nurse. That she's a nurse as well as an actress. Jake, I think he's still acting and modeling and doing things I see these amazing, he's such a beautiful young man. I see these pictures on Instagram, I'm assuming he's modeling too. If he's not, he should.
They're just selfies.
Yeah, so we keep in touch, and we're all very supportive of each other.
And it sounds like it too, especially like you said, from the creative aspect of it, and just being very creative.
And we all want to do a reboot, so.
Yeah, I saw that there's been I don't know how old it is, but I know there was a campaign on YouTube.
Yeah, we're all on record saying we want it, so it just depends on, I guess, Disney.
Yeah.
And the fans, they ask for it.
Fans, well, they are here, and you have a voice. Yes, indeed. Now, and you said, now we're going to get into your career, because it is amazing and it's quite expansive. And you said, the writers, they called you into the room, you talked to the kids about, enjoy this moment, it's going to change. But you've been through it already.
Yeah.
And now you're going to Camp Rock, another successful show. How did your life change? Because now you're a mom from Wizards of Waverly Place, now at Camp Rock. You're recognizable. What was that like? Having 2 Disney shows under your belt like that.
It's incredible. And another amazing talent, Demi Lovato. Just phenomenal, just a light. She was just.
You're like a Lucky Charm. I want to do a show with you.
That's a sweet thing to say. I would love that. She was just like I said, she just radiates this light. So she's so talented. That was an offer while I was doing Wizards. They offered it to me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do that, DCOM, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so sweet too is that Demi and Selena were buddies when they were little, and I thought, well, what are the chances of that? I remember thinking that both these girls that are really good friends are both so talented. It doesn't always work that way, you know, but they both just are so gifted. So it was an honor to play both their moms. And it just made me more recognizable as the Disney mom.
Right.
And I would never have guessed in my life that that would be something so important to my career, that mother common denominator, and I love it. You know, a lot of actresses, they don't want to play moms sometimes because it means they're getting older or we're getting older. And you know, the business is tough for women as they age. But I feel like I was blessed later in life, because I was in my 40s. And they say, yo, your work is over when you're in your 40s as a woman. But for me, Wizards happened in my 40s, and Camp Rock, you know, the most like successful series that I've done have been those, and it was just, I love it. And then I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? Honestly, as I mature and because I am a mom, I realized there is nothing more important than being the best mother you can be. Think about it. You sit on your therapist's couch talking about your mother, right? We become our mothers even when we don't want to be. We appreciate our mothers more than anyone, and fathers too. I don't want to shortchange them. They're super, super important. So I'm like, wow. So I get to do something as an actor and as a real mother that influences mothering and underscores the importance of mothering. And I get to meet you guys, and you talk to me about the mother that you appreciated in me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's very special to me.
And speaking of that, staying with that motherly theme, do you have any favorite character traits between the two characters you've played, between Teresa and between Connie?
Well, I love how self-sacrificial Connie was. I mean, I remember laughing about, okay, she lies and says I'm a music executive or whatever. I have my own business. I'm like, I have a catering company and my own truck, and that's not cool enough? It's like, my goodness, it's hard to please these kids. I like that she was such a self-sacrificing mother, you know. Teresa is just ridiculous and hilarious and passionate, and wants to protect them. I like that she's not into the whole magic thing. She doesn't want the easy way out. She wants to do things the right way. Empty the dishwasher, Alex. It's so funny because my 19-year-old reminds me so much of the Alex Russo character sometimes, and that I'm just like, oh my gosh. She's like, fine, I'll help you cook if you want me to, but. So anyway, I like the passion that that Teresa has, like when she's trying to help him get rid of that zit. Remember when she's trying to come up with? Remember that was early on when he had that talking zit. What other show has done that? Yet zits are a big deal for us growing up. Getting rid of them and staying away from getting zits, and they took it so seriously on our show. You know, it was great. So yeah, I like all the passion and the humor.
Before we wrap up, Wizards of Waverly Place. It's a fantastic show. It's about magic. There's a lot of practical effects, and a lot of things you have to do because it's going to be in post.
Yes.
So, do you remember any gags or any bloopers that happened where something happened that things didn't go the way it was supposed to go?
Things always went the way they're supposed to go.
Oh, really?
We're talking Disney here.
Everything was perfect.
They're very, very well prepared, and they have the funds. So it's very, very few times things didn't go. But I was always amazed at how we can go anywhere, do anything, because of the premise of magic. Anything can happen. So the storylines seem to be just endless. I mean, we had the centaur, and the vampires, and we just amazing creative minds were behind our show, starting with Todd Greenwald, or the creator, Peter Murrieta, Vince Chung, Ben Montano. Just incredible writers. And do you remember the beach episode where I think the guys want to marry me or something? Remember that? Like, guys, I'm married. And that was built on the set. Like the sand, the freaking deck. Do you remember that? Do you remember when the vampire girl is in the boat in the water? That's on the soundstage. They put this plastic and they filled it up with water. Like you'd think we were on location somewhere, right? The park with the werewolf episode and the trees and that's on the set, on the soundstage. I'm just amazed at what they can do. So, and the special effects were incredible. We would do that like on Thursdays, and then the editor would work his butt off so that by Friday, the very next day when we would film in front of the studio audience, they would play back those scenes with the special effects almost completely done.
Wow.
So that that audience could see the show in order as much as they could, the way it's going to be in the final airing. And that's just incredible to me. Yeah.
Wow. Now, we're going to move away from the Disney Channel, and you've got an extensive TV.
That's not allowed here.
But you know, people might not know this. You were in Cop and a Half with Burt Reynolds.
Oh my gosh.
One of my favorite films. It was very funny. Master of Disguise with Dana Carvey.
With the big fake butt, do you remember that? They built that butt for me. And I put it on like shorts. Like they built it on the shorts, I put it on like shorts. And when I had the screen test, you know, with the makeup and the hair and the big fake butt, you know, because he's supposed to like a woman that's built like his mother, and his mother was very, very blessed in that area. And so I just thought it was hilarious because you couldn't really tell that much. But when I turned to the side, it was, you know, really, I mean, this is like bigger than any of the raps, you know, J-Lo or Cardi. So I'm like, wait a second. I said, wait 1 second. And I went outside and I stood on the street and a guy driving his truck was driving by and I went like this. I turned to the side and I went, and he goes like this. I almost had an accident. It was hilarious. And the manager at the time said, oh, we should have asked for that butt. We should have kept it. Because I didn't know it was going to be this like little, like classic, cult classic amongst 13-year-old boys.
Yes, indeed. So let's talk about that. Is there a difference when you're approaching a character for film and approaching a character for a sitcom?
Yes.
What are the differences in understanding the character?
Well, the understanding of the character is the same in that you need to know who you are, what you want, what you're fighting for, how you feel about everybody, why you're there, why you're saying what you're saying. But the difference between film and sitcom, in film, and this is not easy for some of us like me, in film, the camera picks up everything that you're thinking. You don't need to move your face. You think it, and the camera sees it. That's what good film acting is. Sitcom is a little bit quote-unquote broader, but you still have to be very realistic because it's not entertaining and satisfying for the audience if somebody's just saying the words and acting goofy. They have to be really committed to it. And if you're committed to it, you can still be quote-unquote big, you know, meaning larger than life. And I think those are the best ones. When Ralph Cramden is super upset, and he's larger than life in The Honeymooners, is that what it's called, The Honeymooners?
Yeah, Honeymooners, yeah.
He's committed to what he's saying. You know, Lucy and Ricky, they're big, but they mean what she really wants to be in the show, and he's really upset with her. And, you know, Seinfeld, those characters are larger than life, because they're committed to it. They really mean what they're saying, and they put a lot of importance on something minute, and that is hilarious, usually. So that's the difference in the style, you know, and with the voice work, I just have to make everything come alive with just my voice. And if something is intimate, and I'm really feeling like it's intimate and important to me, you'll hear it in my voice. I just really feel it, and you can hear it, right? So it's that challenge of being completely there. You can have your eyes closed, but if I'm really remembering what I'm supposed to be connecting with, then you'll feel it. So I personally love all those challenges. I don't know what it is, but I like hosting. Like if I had your job, I would have a blast.
I'm sure you would.
Whenever I go, whenever I get interviewed, like on the news, you know, like Channel 4 Morning News, I kind of want their job. Like, No, good morning, even in Spanish, bienvenidos a Primer Impacto. And I used to joke around on Justice League, I used to say, bienvenidos a la Liga de Justicia. Soy Hawk Girl, aquí en el planeta Thanagar. It's just fun, all of it is fun. When I used to do commercials or when I have a campaign for something, if I like the product, I'm genuinely into it. It's just a lot of fun to me.
And again, your career is so expansive. Let's talk about from film to TV, now voice acting. You say it's a little different. What got you into that? Did you always know you wanted to do voiceovers?
I still do it all, Mark. I just did a pilot that hopefully will get picked up by a network, a different network than what we did it for, because they're not going to do it there. But I'm recurring on the morning show, which is Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. I'm a new board member, Mercedes Herrera. My wardrobe is very nice. It's very professional, and I'm in the boardroom, and I'm not goofy at all. It's very serious. I did a movie with my husband called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. It's a beautiful movie. It's on PureFlix.
PureFlix, okay.
It's a beautiful movie.
It's out now?
Yes,
okay.
You can see it on PureFlix. Lots of stuff. During the pandemic, I was on Keenan before it got canceled, and Don Johnson was my boyfriend. I don't know if you guys saw that before it got canceled. But anyway, I've done a lot, and I still do. I do everything, right? Voice, and I just got the part of Dora the Explorer's grandmother.
Oh.
And it's great because she's just like Dora, but older. So you see where Dora got it from.
Oh, wow.
She's adventurous, and she's like young and fun, and there's singing in it, and I'm having a great time with that too. Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
It's a big old purse, you'll see. So you asked, what was your question about the...
Well, I get, no, the question was like, what got you into the voiceover work?
Oh.
Yeah, from everything you're doing.
Well, when you sign with a commercial agency, they do commercials and voiceover, and then a theatrical agency does film, TV, theater. They're two separate agents.
Gotcha.
So when I first got to LA, I signed with a voiceover commercial, and I had a theatrical agent. And they send you on voiceover jobs. And it took a while to get a voiceover job. And I'm like, oh, why is it's so hard? And then people start, oh, it's really hard. And then you start thinking, yeah, it's hard. And that's not good. You need to not think like that. I got a couple little jobs. In fact, I was a reporter on, I played a reporter, Shelley Sandoval, on Static Shock, which was Phil Lamar, who ended up being the Green Lantern, who I am in love with as Hawk Girl of Justice League.
Oh,
Such a small world, animation world. So that director brought me in for Hawk Girl. And then what's really cool is I was already married, my husband and I were married 4 years, and we were starting to think about, we really want to have kids. I had just done a movie in Argentina, in Madrid, called Imagining Argentina, and we were like, we really want to have kids, and we're ready to start a family, and my husband's like, you know what, let's not put our lives on hold for this business, because anything can happen. And if we're ready, then we should do it. And Hawk Girl, I can tell you for sure, was an answer to prayer. I said, oh Lord, I really want to start a family. When you're pregnant, obviously, you can't play non-pregnant roles when you start showing. And I got Hawk Girl. And Hawk Girl lasted 4 years during both my pregnancies, where I was able to make a living being out to here. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, a great, and I can use, being pregnant in so many ways as Hawk Girl, protective of my child. I remember sometimes when I would go, during the battles, and the director, Andrea, would say, she's a warrior. I'm like, all right, ha! So it would, and they would prepare you for birth. So,
Hawk Girl prepared you for birth.
Yeah.
That's a snippet we're gonna keep.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know this, But you exist in the Marvel and DC universe
Yes,
at
I
the
do.
same time.
Yes, I play all the fields.
Girl, Livewire from Justice League, She-Hulk.
I love She-Hulk.
Oh yeah.
The game Capcom. Or
Yeah.
Capcom?
So yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because you just made the sound effect.
Yeah.
When you play a video game, are you making all those sounds?
Yes.
What was that like?
Every single one of them. Exhausting.
Yeah.
Exhausting because I care and I give it my all. And I remember that was a few days and I was like, you have to, learn how to use your voice properly so that you don't lose it. That was a blast. And I had a great time doing that.
Wow. I want to talk, before we open it up to, we're going to have some Q&A. I want to talk Proud Family.
I love Q&A.
Yeah, you love Q&A. We're going to get to that. You love Q&A? We got some Q&A for you. All right, so let's talk Proud Family.
Okay.
Sunset Boulevardes. How did you find out about that
Oh
character?
gosh, it was so long ago.
Yeah.
How long ago was it? 20-something years ago.
Yeah, but it's back again,
Yeah.
louder and prouder.
Yeah, the first season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
do you
was a lot of
remember?
fun.
Yeah.
I loved that it was celebrating a black family. I thought Penny was just freaking adorable. I loved her character. I loved the writing. I thought it was so funny. The characters, they weren't afraid to, I don't know if everybody's very sensitive right now. And sometimes it's hard for people to be funny because everybody's so scared, unfortunately. And I think that the first, the Proud Family of many years ago.
The first season, yeah.
Yeah, was so good. And so many people loved it. So I'm not surprised that people still love it. And it was fun being, the Latino American neighbors. And I love that Sunset was a cop, as it's not something you would expect her to be, she's not the stereotypical, Latin mom like they sometimes have done to Latina characters. She was also, again, tough and funny, and I just really enjoyed that show when we did it. Yeah.
I might be wrong, but correct me. You were also a character in Spider-Man universe?
Yes, I was his mother, right?
Oh, okay, wow.
Morales?
Yeah, Morales.
Miles Morales.
Miles Morales,
Yeah.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, I forget these things.
Yeah. I'm just trying to show how awesome you are a mom through all galaxies.
Thank you for reminding
Yeah.
me that I played.
Yeah. You just need to be a mom in Star Wars now, and it's complete. Yeah.
See, you guys, I'm also a mom in real life, and that's very important to me, my real life. So I forget, I tell my husband reminds me of some of the things I can do. Like I had an audition, I had to do a bunch of impressions several years ago, and I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, babe, you do Cher, you do this, you do that, you do all these impressions. I'm like, right, I just forget. So that's where you need somebody that knows you to remind you of who you are.
Yeah.
Because don't we forget? Especially moms, I think having kids and it's just a lot. For fathers too, but parents know what I'm talking about, right, parents? You got to devote yourself completely to the next moment.
Yeah.
Because it's going to take all your energy. So you don't remember those other moments as well.
I think every part of the characters you've played is what a mom is. They make magic. They run a small business. And of course, they're superheroes. So there it is. Yeah.
Thank you. That's nice, right, moms?
So right now, let's open it up to some Q&A. Anybody have any questions? We're going to start with you right over here.
What was your favorite thing that you filmed? Like TV show or movie or
Oh my gosh, it's so... Favorite while I watch it, or favorite while I'm doing it? Very interesting. I would say Wizards when I watch it. And then the pilot that I just did is called Hialeah, Dade County. It's called Hialeah, Dade, effing, it's got a bad word. But they don't say the bad word, they say effing. I know, it's terrible, sorry guys. It's meant to be funny. It's called Hialeah, Dade, effing County. And I loved playing the mother on that. It was hilarious. And hopefully it'll be bought by a network or streaming service. I just love playing her because I got to be more of a fully rounded human being because the writing was so rich for this Cuban American mother, and I got to remember my mother, and so I like doing that. And in high school, I loved playing Amanda Wingfield from the Glass Menagerie. I don't know if you guys remember that Tennessee Williams play, but I was really good in that, and I'll tell you why. Because she was my mother. My mother won the beauty pageant 1957, Cuba, Miss Reina del Carnaval in Holguín, Cuba. There's pictures of her on the float. She talks about her gentleman callers. And then her life got tragic and tough later on. So when we had these auditions, the only difference is she's a Southern belle, so I just had to do the Southern accent. But she was my mother in every way. And so I loved being able to just tap into that. I mean, our teacher was like, he said in front of the whole class, he said, "I've never seen a better Amanda Wingfield than Maria." And I was like, I'm like 17 years old, and I was like, I said, "Did Mr. Boyd just say that about me?" And my friend Tracy was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, oh my gosh. And that did so much for me, for my confidence in being an actress, you know, to be told that. It just really encouraged me to trust myself. But I remember it was very therapeutic to play that character because I was my mother. It's very interesting for me.
We'll go here.
Oh, he's gonna call the shot, sorry.
Besides Wizards, if you could have been, like, had a cameo in any other show in that time at Disney, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. The cameo in any other show. I didn't watch a lot of shows. I was busy, you know, rehearsing all day and shooting. But there were other good shows. Hannah Montana was a fun show. That would have been fun to be something on that show because that was a wild hit. And she was adorable, wasn't she? I could have been, I don't know, some fun, crazy character that she would look up to, one of her mentors, some big diva or something. That would have been fun. Yeah.
So, in Justice League,
Yeah.
you had the opportunity to work with one of the DCU's great voices, Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have anything that you can share about Kevin?
You know, I didn't know Kevin that well. Kevin was kind of quiet. But Kevin did have us over his home and cook dinner for us when we were doing the New York Comic Con, because he had a beautiful place in New York as well as LA. And I got to see him, you know, get to know him a little bit. And he was very warm and generous. And he cooked the meal, which I thought was really nice. You know, they can always order in, you know, guys. But what I really remember about Kevin was his excellence in his work and how you never know what can happen in this business. He didn't set out to have this incredible career as Batman for how many years? That wasn't his plan. He did Shakespeare, he did other TV things, and you get this gift, and it clicks with you, and it opens up your future, where it was very lucrative for him for many, many years, and it's just this tremendous blessing. So that was something I'm like, wow, you just never know, and that's exciting, as up and down as being an actor is. Anything can happen that can change your life. And even the lessons during the painful valleys can change your life for the good if you let it. So the fact that it's so like this can be a good thing. And so the lesson for me with him was like his life as a performer. The wonderful blessing of that job that lasted for so many years that made him a very successful, wonderful, and wealthy Batman.
Yes. So we have time for one last one. We'll go back here to.
So when you get to come to events like this, do you get the chance to geek out meeting other celebrities, and do you have a favorite memory of someone you've gotten to meet at an event like this?
Yes. Well, I'm not a huge comic book person, like Phil Lamar from the Justice League. He knows everything about every character, and that's really cool. And he's also a fan and an artist. But there have been times when I'm like, that is amazing. Like I loved Peter Ben, how do you say his last name? Thumper, he's here. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were 4 years old. You said some words in your beautiful, innocent 4-year-old voice that was recorded for a movie that is phenomenal. Changed everybody's life. My mother took us, I don't know why it was in Spanish, or in America, but it was in Spanish. It was playing at the corner movie theater in Hialeah, Florida. And I hear this, Mama! Mama! That was Bambi after his mother got shot. Well, that just traumatized me. Mama! Mama! Man has entered the forest. But it was in Spanish, right? I don't remember. Hombre ha llegado, or whatever. Bosque. But anyway, that was really amazing. I mean, he was 4 and he's 80-something now. I mean, I took pictures with him. I had him say the line where he says,
Can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all.
don't say nothing at all. And if you listen to him, you can still hear that cadence in his voice. And that's just so cool. And Bambi's here too. And that they're like, you know, happy and married and they have a great story. It's just, you know, life is really something. I'm sure you guys have all kinds of miraculous little stories to tell. So it's kind of cool to get to meet these people. And I don't remember some of the others, but there were others that I'm like, wow, you've gotten old. And I'm like, I want to bring it for the fans, you know. I want to look a little bit like I used to. I'm already, you know, prissy and glamorous to begin with. Like I enjoy getting dolled up, you know. It's like my mother used to model it. When I was growing up, my mother would sing in the bathroom getting all dolled up. And I'd just sit there and I'd look at her. And she was happy. She was happy. So she modeled getting ready as a happy thing. So for me, it wasn't like, oh, I gotta get makeup on, put high heels on. And like some of my friends, I was like embarrassed that I kind of liked it. I'm like, oh, I kind of like it. You know, I'm not a tomboy, sorry. So I'm like, I want to look good for you guys, you know, when you want a picture, like, I want to look cute. And we all age and we can't, you know, escape it. But sometimes I'm sure you guys are like, that's what's her name? She looks nothing like this show. Well, hello, it was 30 years ago. So you guys are understanding and wonderful and cool, but I still like want the kids to, you know, say, oh, that's her, you know.
You look fantastic.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, once again, thank you so much, Maria. This is amazing to talk to you. Yes, indeed. And before you go, tell us again about the movie you did with your husband, so we can see it if we can.
My husband he's a brilliant actor, David Barrera. He's done a million, mostly dramas, but he's done comedy too. I don't know if you saw the Dahmer series, very difficult to watch, but he was the chief of police on the last 3 episodes. They made him look like the real guy who's still alive. He was an amazing detective, you know, with the glasses. But we've done a few projects together, and not all actors like working together, but we do. And that movie's called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters. And it's funny because Coach Bolton from High School Musical, he and his wife are in it, and my husband and I are in it. So 2 married couples, like they play the parents of the bride, and we play the parents of the groom. So that was really cool. And it's kind of like a Meet the Parents meets Father of the Bride. And it's funny, it's wholesome, so your kids can watch it, but it's also very like realistic. It's not like squeaky, like nothing bad happens. You know, there's some real things that happen that we have to deal with that are very, about what's going on right now with social media. And I'm very proud of that movie. I think it's excellent. It's called Strong Fathers, Strong Daughters, and you can get it on PureFlix.
Okay.
And we've done a couple of other movies. FBF is another one. Flashback Friday or Facebook Friday. I don't know what FBF stands for. I'm not cool. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you're still here. We can still come by and see you at your table.
Yes, you
All
guys
right,
know I
today,
love to
tomorrow.
talk to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much once again, TV film actor and voiceover artist, Maria Canals-Barrera.